All right, so we are back to Herp of the Week. In this case, Herps of the Week. Maddi,
Sort of.
great
We'll get
to
there.
have you, bring this back. It's been a Lizard Lab tradition. It went underground and now it's back. And on that note, I'm just going to hand it over to you.
So it's not quite a Herp of the Week. I guess it is, but it isn't. It's like a sub. I've decided to create a new series for the lab called Herps in Our Backyard because I was bored. And there's so much biodiversity at Macquarie University, and I feel like Herps of the Week is cool. Like, it's nice to learn about interesting, weird herps that we wouldn't otherwise encounter. But there's like 15 frogs out there and a lot of lizards, and I thought we should all spend some time getting to know the herps in our backyard. So I decided to kick us off with a very common frog.
Or you could just use a Herp.
Oh my gosh, everything's broken. Oh, my effects are all ruined.
Oh.
Crinia signifera. Froglet. Now, everyone who has been on the east coast of Australia ever will have heard this frog, but most people probably haven't actually seen this frog because it is very small. So its range, as I said, is lots. Interestingly, this actually aligns really well with climate zones of Australia, including the subtropical zone and the temperate zone. There is, of course, subtropical and temperate zones in Western Australia as well, but this frog has not managed to traverse the Nullarbor. I can't blame it. It does like water. And its habitat I have described as, yes. Crinia signifera is not a picky frog when it comes to habitat. Anything is suitable, so it will go from pristine, beautiful ponds like the one my parents built for frogs. That's on the left. And they'll also hang out and really live for sewage. That is a sewage overflow into the creek that runs behind my house.
I was going to say that's not on the Macquarie University campus.
It's very close. They also live in the Lungfish Pond. They live in Mars Creek. They live anywhere there's a good puddle. The Crinia will make it their home, and I admire that. Good for them. It's a very small frog. This is one I caught from my parents' pond. Don't tell anyone I did that. The max size they get to is about 3.5 centimeters long. Average of 3 centimeters. They're very, very little, which means, of course, the metamorphs are even littler. That is a baby Crinia, a fresh metamorph. It still have a tiny bit of tail bud left.
Can you be sure that's a baby Crinia?
Yeah, yes, we can.
That looks like Levi's hand.
It is Levi's hand. So this is a baby Crinia that Levi found because he actually saw an ant that was bigger than it next to it, and then realized there was a frog next to the ant. So they are smaller than ants. With the max size a metamorph has been recorded was 10 millimeters, but they can be as small as 5.5 millimeters, average of 8 millimeters. So they're very, very little. So some things, oh, not yet. Breeding season, I've described as winky face because it's all the time. Whatever feels right. The vibes are good, Crinia are breeding. There's kind of jokes amongst some frog scientists that the day the Crinia stop calling is the end of the world because they are very enthusiastic and constant, and they're also constant breeders. Interestingly, I thought is they prefer coldness as tadpoles, so they will have the most rapid development into frog when the water is 15 degrees Celsius, which is pretty damn cold. Most frogs will develop quicker the warmer the water gets. Not the case for these guys. And I thought that was interesting. There's another great example of prime Crinia habitat that is a puddle on the side of a fire track in a park that had appeared because it had rained a bit. They also have very rapid development. They develop from egg to tadpole in as little as 6 weeks if they want. This is where the sound is necessary. So something we all kind of probably know about Crinia is they're obnoxious. They're really loud and they don't stop. So no, the sound is necessary. Look at him. They're also unwelcoming. Yeah. So being a year-round breeder, they are territorial. More seasonal breeding frogs can afford to not care so much about territory because it's kind of more breeding frenzy. Everyone gets in, the puddles are good, let's get this done and let's all go back to sleep for the rest of the year. But being a year-round breeder, it's a lot more competitive, it's a lot more aggressive. So something a lot of us, whilst we've heard that standard crinear call, many of us might not have heard the fact that they have a territorial call as well. And it's a very direct and intentional territorial call. And it sounds a little different to the regular crinear. So that's a video of one male chasing away another male, and as you could see, he did his little sort of more sounding call, and that's the territorial call, and it was very much targeted directly at that other male, and he chased him off because he was not feeling it. He was this is my patch of puddle, get out of here. Another thing, not maybe everyone knows, is that they are riddled with disease. They are disgusting. They're actually probably somewhat responsible for the decline of the corroboree frog. Whoops. They themselves are not impacted heavily by chytrid. They don't get very sick. They don't die from it. In the lab, they're able to maintain really high chytrid loads and just keep on vibing. And unfortunately, they're sympatric with a lot of our cute little alpine frog friends who cannot handle chytrid at all. And so where there is Crinia signifera, there is pretty much not corroboree frogs anymore, which is sad. The reason they can survive it is probably due to their skin peptides. We don't know for sure, but they do secrete signiferins, which are peptides specific to them, that are extremely antimicrobial, so much so that they've been investigated for use against MRSA that's antibiotic resistant, because they're just that impressively antimicrobial. And I'm not a scientist that understands that kind of stuff, but apparently the way they work means that they are not going to result in resistance developing in bacteria. I don't understand it, but I trust the people who do. That's kind of cool. Another fun fact, they got cool tums. A lot of frogs have cool tums, and we don't spend enough time looking at tums, I think. All Crinia species have interesting patterns on their bellies. It's very common in myobatrachids. And Crinia signifera is no different. And they can be told, individuals can be differentiated based on tummy pattern. It's as unique as a fingerprint. Kind of cool. And that's it. Crinia signifera. We got to know a frog that lives right there.
Excellent. Questions about Crinia signifera?
They have made it across the Nullarbor. They're just called insigniferant.
And also pseudo insignificant.
Yeah, Crinia have, Crinia signifera specifically haven't.
They're not significant.
And there's also parasignifera.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah,
Signifera variant.
over here.